Let's bring in the Hall of Fame owner and general manager of your Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, here on 105.3 The Fan. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Hey, man, Sean, RJ, Sean, good to be on there.
Jerry, congratulations on that win against Philadelphia. Let's just talk about the game a little bit and why you think that may have been the best win of Coach McCarthy's Cowboys run.
Well, I first of all know it's been in every facet as far as the importance of the game. And I don't know when we played any better against a quality opponent since Mike's been here. And so when you add those two things up, and then when you actually look at the overall balance of the game on both sides of the ball, a complimentary football, as Mike has to say, when you weigh that all, I really do stand by that. I think this is a product of what he's about, probably more so than any one game that we've played since Mike's been the coach.
Even more so than Tampa in the playoffs last year on the road.
Well, I'm well aware of the Tampa game, very proud of that game in the playoffs, but we all know that a playoff win advances you better than we're sitting here right now, but we've got that ahead of us too. But as far as the game itself, the quality of the opponent, I like this one.
Coach, here I am saying Sean, RJ Sean, and now Coach Jerry Jones. Jerry, talk about the connectivity between the players and Coach. After he had the appendix issue, we felt like there was going to be a galvanizing factor in the guys wanting to play for Coach. Did you see that after the news came out? And just talk about his connection as maybe a player's coach with that locker room.
Well, of course, Mike is very much respected for all the right reasons. He's very fair. He's very even-handed. He's very knowledgeable. He's won a Super Bowl as a coach, which is rare. Everybody recognizes that. But then he's the busiest man there is in Dallas, Texas, I believe, because he's not only the head coach, but he's also the offensive coordinator. And the term is, if you're going to call them, you got to install them. And that is on offense, that's quite a very big, cumbersome, long week that you have preparing, and more so than anybody really. And so he's all of that, and then to have made that work in the middle of to put that together, function at that level, at the same time have his appendix removed. He was bound and determined to make this basically a cause, if you will. We all know that anybody that's had their appendix out early in the week is standing on that sideline for 3.5, 4 hours on Sunday, is under some stress and under a little physical pain. So he was able to do all of that. It meant a lot to him to do it. It meant a lot to the team for him to do it. Really showed just how much the game means to everybody involved.
Jerry Jones here on The Fan. Of course, all the attention has been on Deron Bland in your secondary, but talk about the job that Stephon Gilmore did the other night against A.J. Brown and that Philly passing attack.
Well, I don't know when we've had combinations of secondary play as any more impressive than the other night against Philadelphia. All across the board. You mentioned Deron Bland. Of course, Ron's had his ups and downs, but if you look at the really the definition of a great secondary player, especially a corner who's matched up pretty good with any given top receiver most of the time, then you basically need to be looking at our secondary because we were outstanding. He led the way at his corner play, but we were outstanding with Bland as well. We were outstanding with our safeties. We played as well at safety as I can ever remember us playing. It reminds me, as a group, the Woodson days. And again, I'm just impressed because we all know this was an outstanding opponent for this day and time, and we rose to the occasion.
Jerry, when did you believe that Brandon Aubrey was your answer a kicker? And what is a kick that this guy can attempt that you don't think he'll make?
Well, I think the key thing is that when he does attempt one, we know he's got a chance to make it, and we know he's got a chance to make it. Every time that he lines up there to do one of those big plus, especially those long field goals, but really any of those field goals, you've got to hit it right, and he's about as consistent when called upon in those clutch situations as you can ask for. And what a story, beautiful story for a guy that has not only distinguished himself as a kicker and a competitor, but has also become an integral part of how this team wins. And we don't have that kind of kicking out there Sunday, and we've got a different ballgame.
Jerry, you guys sit at 10-3 now, which is the same record you had through 13 games last year. You were 9-4 the year before that. Obviously, those seasons didn't end the way you wanted them to, but what is your greatest reason for optimism that this year is going to be different?
Well, I really think that Dak playing the way he's playing, in coordination with what Mike's wanting it to be on the offensive side of the ball, understanding with maybe as a result of the time that he and Mike have spent together, but the understanding of just the field position, the complementary football. And what a head coach that has been around what I call a walk-around head coach that has been walking around or been around all phases of the football. They have a little different perspective when they're calling the plays on offense if they're the coordinator as well. And it's more complimentary. And I think we're getting the benefit of that. But I think Dak's adaptation to what Mike wanted to, the direction he wanted us to go in is big.
Jerry Jones on us here, 105 through the Fan. We have talked about all year or late last few weeks. This run is great. Want to see them do it against a team with a winning record. Did that against Philadelphia. It was a great win. Is there another hurdle or benchmark that you want to see this team kind of hit before you get towards the postseason?
Well, this game we're playing this weekend against the Bills, but they're a dangerous team, and they can be at any given time. They can be as good as anybody in the NFL, in my mind. And they've got the kind of players, they've got the quarterback, and they're just a good team. And we're going to play them at home. Of all the places that a home field advantage is different than the normal games you play, is Buffalo, New York. And I don't know what the forecast is right now. Maybe you guys do, but still. But this game coming up here will be as good a challenge as we could have. And I'm going to use the word again, it's formidable to step up there and come out of here with a win. So no farther. We don't have to look any farther up the road than about 5 days from now.
Jerry, right now it's looking like a high of 46, partly sunny with 12-mile-per-hour winds. Will you take that?
I'll go with it. Here we are in the middle of December in Buffalo, New York. The gods are looking out after us.
Speaking of home field advantage, Jerry, and what a big boost it can be to a team, you guys have established one of the bigger home field advantages in the NFL now. 15 straight victories at AT&T Stadium. You guys have consistently put up 40-plus points there all year. Given how well you guys play at home there, do you think it's more important for you guys to gain home field advantage than, most teams or really any team in the NFL?
It is great to be before the largest crowd in the NFL, and that's what we are. And that has to account for something. I think the fact that we have this streak going, it shows that it is an edge. I know that it completely playing at our place eliminates the weather factor in any way. And we obviously are comfortable playing there. So I think if you look at all of that, I would say that the kinds of things that you can do short of your preparation, short of your having where you being as close to where you want to be on player availability. That's probably right there in the next 3 or 4 important things on a 5-fingered hand. So it's big, and that's why you play as hard as you do for it. That and to be in front of your own fans, and that's big.
Jerry, I've never necessarily cared for the way the seeding works in the postseason. If you all win out and Philadelphia wins out, you're both 14-3. And then the loser of the division would be on the road against a team currently under 500. Is the way the seeding is that fair? Should the league look into changing that a division winner, regardless of record, gets home field over a team that could have 14 wins?
Yeah. It's according to which side of that equation your team is on that given year. And we lose along the way. That fair thing gets mitigated a little bit. And it's like fair in business being fair in so many things. It's almost a misnomer. And those are the rules. And we start off everybody understanding what they are, and you live with them. I'm not so sure what the success ratio of that team is that has that lower record, relatively speaking. I'm not for sure what it is. I ought to look it up. But it can't be a high percentage of them that go on through. The one that just is burned in my forehead is that New York Giants that came in here and beat us when we had the number 1 seed, and we'd won 2 regular season games against them. And then they go up what I call the backside and win the entire thing and win the Super Bowl. Now that is good for football, bad for the Cowboys when that happened. But the fact that the seed that had a, may I say, average record during the year was able to win it all shows how ready you need to be to play playoff football.
Talking with Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones here on 105 Through the Fan. Jerry, Dak Prescott did a sit-down interview with Jason Garrett ahead of the Sunday Night Football game, and he told him that the loss to San Francisco was a real wake-up call for a lot of guys, especially on offense, and that things really changed in the game plan after that. As tough as that loss was, do you think that may have sort of inadvertently saved the season, that you guys had that pivot point?
I don't know that I will say save the season because, each one of these games, especially in those early games of a season, each one of them are formative. And you're learning a lot of things that dictate the direction you're going to be going or have you evaluate the direction that you want to go. And so I think that's the case. And I think we saw that some things that we needed to do on defense. I think we saw some things that we need to do with Dak, probably get his legs involved in things a little bit more. And so those are the kinds of adjustments we made. The big thing that I would say about that game is that was then, this is now, which is a natural thing for me to say. But really, we have evolved in execution in our offense. And we're closer to the kinds of things that Mike had in mind when he started putting these, may I say again, adjustments into the offense last spring. And so we're executing those. More importantly, the players believe in those things, those nuances of this offense. Now, that's been the big change on how we're able to play offensively.
Jerry, we know how much respect and regard you have for Romo and vice versa. The other day, you put Dak's name in that category of wanting to get him a Super Bowl, as you mentioned that as one of your biggest football regrets. Can you just talk about that a little bit, why you decided it was time that Dak can also belong in that type of conversation?
Well, he's earned, if you look at what he's brought to the table during his career, we should have been smart enough to put enough around him that have gotten him up there competing for a Super Bowl. And as it turns out, you really do need, I don't care what your role is in the NFL, ultimately, if you don't have a Super Bowl, being near it, being around it, But if you don't have a Super Bowl, that thing has a really you have to put almost an asterisk beside it if you get the kind of recognition as an individual or a player. That's what we put on the value of the Super Bowl. But get it, and it erases a lot of the frailties that particular team, coach, player has. So that Super Bowl does a magical thing to the performance of a player or a team in the year you win it.
Jerry, there was a lot of discussion when Dak Prescott got his last contract that, oh, wow, he was able to get all the way to the end of that contract. They weren't able to take advantage of the last year of his rookie deal where they could structure some things differently. And you've headed, you're entering the final year of his deal next year as well. And there's sort of been this discussion point that have they waited too long on quarterback? Are they allowing him to up his market value, and then ultimately you're having to pay more than you would have had you just got it done earlier? What do you have to say to that line of thinking or that question about should you try to take care of the quarterback's contract as early as possible?
Yeah, and you started your question. It's a long one.
It is.
But you started your question with there's been a lot of discussion. And that's how you start your question. So I'm going to cut right to the chase. Don't pay any attention to discussion. It's meaningless. The only thing that is factual here is what I decide and what we decide as a team and what Dak decides. And so all of that should have the nuances of that relationship as to that team and that player. And that's the way that it is. So but we know exactly where we are on the contract, years left on the contract, and we should be and are about as close in on that type of communication, the kinds of things that you would hope that they have at least body language signals. You'd hope that all of that was alive and well. And it remains the timing on it remains to be seen.
Jerry, I have a Zeke Who T-shirt after you guys capitalize on that marketing opportunity. What have you done for Here We Go? What is being planned in the Jerry Jones, Charlotte Jones marketing mind to get that somehow on some merchandise?
Well, I know this, that if you were ever going to have different merchandise, let's say, in the marketplace, the time you want to do it is times like now. And obviously, you can't keep enough merchandise and enough unique slogans relative to merchandise. You can't keep enough of it out there. So that's all great. I would remind you, and I'm not so sure that's your question, but we're the only team that I know of in sport that I'm aware of that build our own merchandise. We build it. We have it done in different countries, plus the U.S., and we then bring it in and we directly distribute it wholesale-wise, and we directly work with the retailers to get that done. And we're the only team that does that, so it gives us enormous flexibility on being able to chase the market, so to speak. And the market's exciting time, hot time, and boy, we want every Cowboy fan there is to have something that commemorates this season.
Jerry Jones here on The Fan. Random question I've been wanting to ask you for a while. How has the Netflix filming gone? Can you give us any little tease, and what are we going to get to see as Cowboy and football fans when it eventually is done and finalized?
Well, you're talking about my new best friends. We're together constantly. And we are together in and around for the preparation of the team, the many sensitive meetings regarding that. We, of course, to get the right stuff, you need to get it all. And so we're in some very sensitive places. They were with me constantly. My grandson was involved with his last game at home with the Longhorns in Austin. They were all there then. They were with me all the way up in Missouri, out deer hunting with me, and and with my entire family. And at that particular time, it amounts to about 40 or 50 people. So they've been every place with us during this past few months, and will continue to be for probably a year or two.
Jerry, I wanted to get your take on the Kadarius Toney Chiefs ending, that penalty. Was it right to give him that penalty there in that situation if they hadn't been letting it go all game or without a warning? I know it's a point of emphasis this year for the league.
Yeah, we've had that several times. They will often warn you. They'll certainly do it early in the game, and they'll certainly do it on the first time. I don't recall being warned at the end of a game in a critical situation. I don't recall us being warned. I'm sure we have been. But that's a part of that competition right there, is when you're in hurry up, you're either running out of time or you're under stress, you're tired, the players are tired. This is a part of the challenge of playing football. And so to the end that you should have something that let's see somebody about a lineman pre-snap and let's get it right to help save the play is just not a part of that officiating playbook. And so the penalty doesn't surprise me at all.
Jerry, last thing, just want to ask you this as a businessman. The Shohei Ohtani baseball deal, not sure whether you saw it, but $700 million. And yesterday it came out, they're going to pay him $2 million a year for the next 10 years to defer the payments to help the Dodgers spend now. Do you just have business thoughts on that, where the contracts have gone? And we're a little bit bitter and jealous that the Dodgers are going to be able to get away with paying him $2 million a year for the next 10. Just any thoughts on the biggest deal in the history of sports?
Well, when I bought the Dallas Cowboys, this is my thought. When I bought the Dallas Cowboys, the amount that I paid for the team, for ultimately the entire team, the amount that I paid, take about 15% of that. And that was a guaranteed a total overall cost for Herschel Walker. Well, the rules are that if you guarantee a contract, you've got to put that in escrow. You've got to put the equivalent of a letter of credit. You've got to assure the other teams that the money is going to be there to pay it. We hadn't done that, the Cowboys. And so as a part of me buying the team, I had to not only go up and guarantee the pension plan, but I also had to guarantee Herschel Walker's contract. And even at those times, 1989, that represented 10% of the entire value of the team. And so put it apples to apples, what a dollar was then as opposed to a dollar now, and those kinds of things, to put it in perspective, are there. That's a part of pro football and pro baseball.
Thank you for the time and the awesome answers as always. We appreciate it, and have a warm trip in Buffalo.
Thanks, guys. Let's go get them, boy.
Yes, sir.
That's another nail biter. Thank you. Bye-bye.